Thank you, Yes to Love, for that beautiful song. So today my topic is aging as a spiritual practice. Have you thought about aging as a spiritual practice for yourself? I bet not, because I hadn't thought of it till I got this topic. And then I thought, my gosh, what am I going to say? Aging is kind of a hard term to define. And when I looked it up in the dictionary, it's like, all these evolutionary biologists, they call themselves, how's that for a title, say that aging is a persistent decline in physiological functioning. Well, that's depressing. So we know what goes on with bodies as we age, but what's going on in our minds? And the whole point of this is our minds drive our physical manifestations. So what are we willing to look at and accept? There are many studies that have been done about aging, and one of these recent studies said that the way medical technology is speeding up, is advancing and really speeding up through the years. A person today who is 50 years old can expect to live a healthy, quality life to the age of 132. Close your mouths. So my question is, can you embrace that idea? It takes a huge paradigm shift, doesn't it, for many of us to embrace that idea. I could live to 132. And some of you are probably thinking, yes. And some of you are thinking, oh my God, I don't want to live that long. Others are probably thinking, my money's going to run out. Do I have to go back to work? Who's going to employ a 120-year-old? See how our minds can limit us? Isn't it true? But just think, if you live to 132, you would have lots of time to practice the aging process. You have to get a glimpse of a mental picture of yourself being healthy, active, and responsive at age 130 if you're going to live that long. So what is our mental picture of ourselves? Ernest Holmes wrote a book called Discover a Richer Life. And in that book, he has this quote that says, life is not just something to be endured, it is to be lived in joy, in a fullness without limit. Are you living your life in joy, in a fullness and without limit? Or are you limiting yourselves? I think so often we limit ourselves because of our past beliefs, because of what we've seen with other people. And the good news is, we don't have to limit ourselves. In our textbook, on page 187, our founder, Ernest Holmes, writes, never limit your view of life by any past experience. The possibility of life is inherent within the capacity to imagine what life is, backed by the power to produce this imagery or divine imagination. So we get to realize that the divine, God, Spirit, is unlimited. And therefore, our lives can be unlimited. Oh, our human minds tell us, who do you think you are? You can't do that. Do you realize people are going to think you look crazy? You can't act like that at your age. Don't we have all these little voices that go on that tell us these things? And they limit our lives. And we don't have to believe them because we are one with Spirit, with God, that is unlimited. And so as unlimited beings, we can set a new trail for ourselves. We can decide through our mental images who we want to be and how we want to age. And I'm sure that most of you, like myself, have known people who are 55 or 60 years old, and they are old. They look old, they act old. And then you know people that will be 80 or 90, and they're young. They look young, they act young, they're vibrant. It's all in our mental picture. And so what is our picture of ourselves as we age? Are we willing to accept a new picture when science, medical science tells us if you're 50 now, you could live to the age of 132? Can you embrace that? Or does your body reel against it and say, no way, I can't do that? So this is our spiritual practice in aging, is to examine our beliefs and our attitudes about aging, to open our minds to a different view here, to see new possibilities as living to an older age than we're used to seeing people live to, and living a quality life. Don't just say I'm going to live to 132. Well, you can if you want to. But for me, I want to add in that I am living a quality life. How exciting is that? Let me tell you the story of my father. My grandfather, my father's father, died at age 72. And so my father came up with the belief that he would die at age 72 as well. Men in our family die at the age of 72. So in his late 50s, early 60s, my father said, I'm not buying any new clothes. I won't wear them out before I die. Well, yes, my mother laughed and thought that was a ridiculous statement because she could never get my father to buy new clothes. But that was his belief. And he lived with that belief. And he absolutely would not buy new clothes. He lived to the age 76, which surprised him. And he was healthy. He had an abdominal aortic aneurysm that ruptured and died like that. So he was out working in the yard one day and the next day he was dead, which was the way my father had to go. I mean, he would not have been a good patient to linger in a hospital or a nursing home. So that suited him well. But he got buried in a coat from one of my uncles that they loaned, or didn't loan, they gave to my mother to have my father buried. They didn't want it back. So that was his mental equivalent of life. He thought he was going to die at 72. He didn't make it to 76. He didn't want to have any new clothes, so he had to get buried in somebody else's jacket. Can we laugh at the absurdity of our thoughts sometimes? How we limit ourselves. And you know, there's that practical side of me that says, well, this is very practical thinking. And then there's that side of me that says, woo, I'm one with an unlimited God, an unlimited source. Why don't I live life full out? Why not try to have fun things go on in life? Why am I limiting myself so much? My father always believed that life was hard, that you had to struggle to make money, and that whenever you started to get ahead, the universe would take it away from you. That was his belief. So guess what manifested in his life? Life was hard. Now, I understand where he got his beliefs. He was one of 13 children. His father was a Church of God minister. His mother and father considered their children raised when they could walk. I think that's why they had so many children, because they weren't taking care of the kids. And he grew up in extreme poverty. So if you wanted the clean clothes for the day, you had to be the first one up to get the clean clothes to wear. That was the existence that he grew up in. And so there was very limited thinking. And he wanted nothing to do with church or religion because of how strong his father was. But it limited his life because he couldn't find anything, to believe in, anything greater, a better philosophy for his life. And so he remained in that limited thinking. I have to say, I honor him for all he taught me, and I am so very happy that I have been able to break out of that thinking and move into New Thought, move into science of mind philosophy, and recognize the unlimited nature of my life. And that I don't have to die at 72 or 76. Maybe I'll live to 132. You'll really be tired of me, won't you? So our philosophy allows us to do the mental practice, the mental work, to see where we want life to go, to see how we're going to unfold things. I think that's part of why Lisbeth's reading today spoke to me so much, because it was reflective of looking back at my life. What have I planted this last year? What have I gotten as my manifestation of life? And what can I change for next year? I'm buying the seeds. I think also because my mother and my grandmother always bought the Burpee seed catalog every year, and they would order their seeds and wait for those to come in, and they would start them in the house. And then when the plants got bigger, my mother still does this. She's 92. She's still planting a big garden. But to think about, am I planting the frustration? Or am I planting the love? Am I planting the seeds of kindness? Am I planting the joy, the harmony? Oh, won't this bush look good between the loving kindness and the harmony? I loved it. That was so special. Because we get to think about what's our life showing up like right now, and how do we want it to be in the future? And we can change our lives by changing our thinking. So this is a mental process for us to open our minds to a different view of aging, of how life can be for us. Ernest Holmes said, "Life is a mirror, and it reflects back to the thinker what he thinks into it." Life is a mirror, and it will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. So what are we thinking about life? Is it hard? Or is life easy? Do we know and trust ourselves that we can manage through life? Sure, we have some hiccups that come up, but life is going to work out. Things are going to go well. What are you thinking about your life regarding aging? Are you dreading it? Do you welcome it? Do you recognize the gift that you are to other people through the wisdom that you have received through the years that you accumulate? We all have our stories, don't we? And they're unique, and they're wonderful. And don't we have a lot that we can give to other people through our experience? So do we need a new mental picture? If you do, I encourage you to develop that, to spend some time in meditation, in contemplation, so that you create the life that you want. Our good news is it doesn't have to be the way we've always thought it would be. We can have a new paradigm. We can create a new life for ourselves. We can have a different aging process if we're willing to see it mentally. We expand our minds to new concepts and to greater experiences. In the textbook on page 269, it says, anything that will enable us to express greater life, greater happiness, greater power, so long as it does not harm anyone, must be the will of God for us. For as much life as one can conceive will become part of his experience. So anything that's going to give us more life, more power, more joy, that is the will of God for us. It's a new concept of God, people. God is not that same image that I had growing up as a child, looking over the balcony of heaven. You can't have fun. What do you think you're doing, Clyde? You can't have fun here. God is unlimited, and God wants us to enjoy life, to have fun, to be all we can be. Where do you think that branch of the service got that? Be all you can be. Probably from Science of Mind. I bet Ernest Holmes. So I encourage you to be happy, to know that this is a wonderful life, that all that we want we can have, so long as it harms no one else. And do you really want to do harm to other people? I hope not. Because what we want for other people, we also want for ourselves. We want all people to be happy. We want all people to have that spiritual garden that is growing the seeds of love, of peace, of kindness, of contentment. That's not growing wildly the seeds of discontentment, of criticism. We try to keep those things down. We're human, so yes, we have those things pop up for us from time to time, but that's why we call this a spiritual practice, because we continue to practice, and we go back to remembering who we are as spiritual beings, and as spiritual beings, we create our own life. So are you willing to spend some time cleaning up your thinking, cleaning up your mind? Ernest talks about how we change our minds by putting in a pure or purer thought. So if we're always thinking negatively, we're going to see negative things in our lives. If we're putting in better thoughts, then we're going to see better things in our lives. That's the way it works. And that's why, one of the reasons I hope, we come here together to remind each other, to encourage each other, so that we can develop that better life, that better mental concept of what we can have. We see joy in other people, and as we see that, we recognize that that can come from us as well. So are we really willing to spend that time to change our lives, to do the mental work that it takes? We get to draw on the wisdom that we've had throughout our lives. Some of us tend to like to look at other people and think that's how we're going to define our lives. Let me share with you quickly the story of the crow and the peacock. This is really about happiness and about how when we compare ourselves to other people, we tend to lose our happiness. The crow thought he was the happiest bird in the forest until he saw a swan. The snow-white swan swam so pretty. He said, "It must be the happiest bird in the world." The crow told the swan what he thought, and the swan said, "Well, I was happy until I saw the parrot. It has two colors. Now I think the parrot is the happiest bird in the whole world." So the crow spoke to the parrot and told him what the swan thought. And the parrot said, "I was happy with my two colors until I saw the peacock." The peacock has multiple colors. So the crow visited the peacock. And the peacock was in the zoo. He saw all of his wonderful colors, and he said to the peacock that he was beautiful, and hundreds of people came to see him every day. The crow said, "When people see me, they shoo me away." The peacock said, "I used to think I was the most beautiful bird in the world. But because of my beauty, I'm entrapped here in the zoo. I've been thinking and looking at all the birds around, and I think the crow is the happiest bird in all the world. Because the crow is not caged, and it can fly wherever it wants to go. What about us? Do we compare ourselves to others? Well, they're happier than me. They deserve to be happier. Look, they've got more grandkids, they have more kids, they have more of this, more of that. So do we limit ourselves by comparison? I've heard it said, comparison is the death of joy. Be happy with your life. Be happy with what you can create in your own mind. Recognize that if you're a crow, you don't have to be a peacock. Be the best crow you can be. And if you're a parrot, be happy with your two colors. You don't have to wish to be a peacock. Because you know what? If you're the peacock and you're trying to be something else, you might just get caged in your own mind. You may not be able to be free because you think that you have to show up in a certain way. You have to show off your colors or something. So be happy with who you are and where you are. As we age as a spiritual practice, blaze your own trail. Do your own thing. Who can tell you you're wrong? Because you're an individual. So blaze your own trail. Know that the wisdom you have gained throughout life serves you well as you continue through life. And there are people that you will be a model to in how to age well, in how to be positive, because of this philosophy, because of creating the life that you know you want and you can have. Be the model for others, so they have someone to look to, so they have someone to know they can be hopeful to mirror, and life will reflect that back to them. Let us pray. I begin with gratitude. Gratitude for all that I have been given, for all that each of us has been given here. For we are the perfect crows and parrots. We are the perfect peacocks. We are the perfect birds, lives, beauties of this world. And knowing that we are one with that power and presence that is God, that is Spirit, that is the universe, that gives us life, we shine forth from that unlimited source, all that is. We have such gifts, and we are grateful for them. And so I speak my word of power, knowing that each of us declares, finds, decides our own destiny, our own lives, and we create that mental picture for ourselves of aging gracefully, aging with wisdom, with power, positive, a quality life that we enjoy and others enjoy being around us. For we know that we are the models, expressing the one power and one presence, expressing God, Spirit, love, peace, joy in the world each day. For all of the gifts we have received, I am divinely grateful. And I release my word into the universe, allowing it to be. And together we say, and so it is.